I want to ask you, Brock, too, as we listen to your dad talk about the moves and taking them and some of the coaching that he gives you. What is that relationship like with you and your dad? Is it always smooth in terms of listening to the coaching and working on him? Has it been just great to have him in your corner? Or just like any father-son relationship, are there times where you're like, Dad, I got it, okay? I know. I mean, just about, talk to us about having your dad who was so successful for so long in this career, having him. I mean, as much as of a blessing that is to have that type of experience with you, is there sometimes too where it's like, man, some of this I'm just going to have to learn on my own? Is there ever those moments?
There is sometimes, just things he just never had tried or anything. But I think the only hiccup would be is if we're in there and he's telling me to do something that in my mind I'm like, I know, like of course, like that's a given. But in his mind, he knows that even though it should be a given, it might not look that way.
Okay.
So when he says something like that, like slow down or something, and I think I am going slow, and then I watch it back and I'm like, you know what, he's right. I could slow down.
Good.
There
Yeah,
hasn't
that's
really been any hiccups. He knows, he can read on my face when I'm not happy about something, or
frustrated.
yeah,
Yeah.
or when I know, he knows what buttons to push and when to tell me what and where.
And he'll admit this, and it's not a big deal. But when he has a match, I'll leave him alone. I'll let him get with his opponent or whoever it is, his agent or producer or coach or whatever they're called, and then I pull him aside and say, "What do you want to do?" I don't say, "Do this, do that, do this, do that." I say, "What do you want to do today? What do you have in mind?" And he's got a great mind already for the business. He understood the one thing. There's one cardinal rule you have to do if you're going to be in this business any length of time is you got to make it make sense. It's got to make sense to you. It's got to make sense to the audience. And if you start with that building block, you can learn the business. But that number one is number one in my book. You got to make it make sense.
And I think too, it goes back to, it's more than just Arn Anderson, the wrestler. Look what Arn did as a producer and as a matchmaker. He's known as John Cena's guy for so many years. So, and I know you're shaking your head, Brock, because hey, that's the experience that I have in my corner. So it's a little, I think for people, it's a little different when you have someone who has that level of experience in putting matches together too.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure.